Right when we thought the polling was getting better, it just got even worse. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and today we have to talk about the 2024 presidential election because the polling gets even worse. I really thought we hit the bottom of the barrel when they claimed that Trump was down by 5 to 6 points in Wisconsin, down 3 to 4 in Michigan, same thing in Pennsylvania. I thought, okay, it cannot get any worse than that, or even tied in North Carolina. I really thought that was the bottom of the barrel when it comes to polling. Nope. We have a brand new poll out of the Rust Belt, and my goodness, we are officially back to 2020. Look at this. Harris +9 in Wisconsin, Harris +5 in Michigan, Harris +4 in Pennsylvania. Yeah, this is not a parody. This is supposedly a real pollster that just released this garbage. Think about it. Right off the bat, you can tell there's something really wrong with this poll. Wisconsin. Harris +9. Really? A state that Biden barely won by like a half a point in 2020. Well, supposedly, it's going to take a 9-point shift to the left. Yeah, a 9-point shift. Just think about that for a minute. Of all the states that could have a big shift to the left, you think of like Colorado, you think of New Hampshire, states like that. Not Wisconsin, a state that for years now has been a 50-50 state. Now, out of the blue, this garbage poll drops this crap. Harris +9 in Wisconsin. That alone, in my opinion, discredits this entire poll. But look at the other states. Michigan, Harris +5. Pennsylvania, Harris +4. Isn't it odd that Michigan and Pennsylvania, compared to 2020, especially compared to Wisconsin, barely swung? Especially Michigan. Look at this. Harris up by 5 points. Michigan, it was like Biden +3. So you're telling me that Wisconsin, a state right next to Michigan, by the way, votes nearly identical to Michigan, is going to swing 8 points to the left, but Michigan is going to swing 2 points to the left? Same thing with Pennsylvania. Biden won it by like, what, a point? Yeah, he won it by a point. It's only going to shift 3 points to the left? So Wisconsin, despite being the closest state in the Rust Belt, is not only going to shift 9 points to the left, but it's going to vote to the left of Michigan, Pennsylvania, etc. Just, what? In what universe does Harris win by 9? Let alone if she's doing that piss poor in Pennsylvania and Michigan. Because you cannot do that much better in Wisconsin, yet outright implode in Michigan and Pennsylvania in the year of 2024. Maybe 30 years ago, you can make an argument. But now, these states, if they swing a point to the left, do you really think, like, Michigan's going to swing 8 points to the right? Highly doubt it. And of all the states, Wisconsin, the most rural state of the three, the most white working class of the three, is going to have the biggest shift to the left. You know what that means? According to these bozos, Harris is appealing to white working class voters better than Biden. And not just better than Biden, but you're talking about like a 15-point shift with these voters. That's the only way you can explain Wisconsin being that far to the left, especially compared to, say, Michigan and Pennsylvania. Does anyone really believe that? Anyone with a brain would realize that's bullcrap. But sadly, a lot of people on this platform, they're pushing this poll as 100% real, no problems here. Harris will win Wisconsin by 9. Doesn't this sound familiar? Oh yeah, 2020. Let's look at the point average in Wisconsin back in 2020. Oh yeah, it was Biden +7. And quite frankly, it would have been like Biden plus 8, Biden plus 9, if it wasn't for Susquehanna and Trafalgar. Those were the only two pollsters that were halfway right. Actually, Trafalgar was spot on. They had a Biden plus 1, and he ended up winning by a point. But look at, like, Reuters, Biden plus 10. Even the New York Times, which, by the way, everyone quotes as somehow a gold standard, they had Biden winning Wisconsin by 11 points. CNN, Biden plus 9. Hell, even Emerson, a pollster that I actually like, they were off by 7 points. Yeah. This is Wisconsin polling. AKA absolute trash. Just seriously, how do you get Biden plus 8? And remember, this is the state that ABC News and the Washington Post posted what could very well be the most disastrous poll in history. They had Biden plus 17 in Wisconsin. And not 2 years before the election, or hell, not even 2 months before the election. No, it was 2 weeks before November 3rd. It was 2 weeks before that. It was on, I think, October 25th. Yeah. October 25th, they had Biden at 57%. Trump only at 40%. So they predicted, yeah, Biden will win Wisconsin by 17. What a load of crap. That's what this poll reminds me of. These garbage Rust Belt polls, especially in presidential years, they're making the same mistakes yet again. Doesn't this sound eerily familiar that Trump is doing way worse in Wisconsin? He's down by 9 points? Because it is. It's the same thing that happened back in 2020, back in 2016. And you know what? Let's compare that to, say, Michigan, right? They had it Biden plus 4, right? It ended up being Biden plus 3, but let's face it. Trafalgar and insider advantage, they're the only reasons this wasn't Biden plus 7. They were. If it wasn't for those two pollsters correcting the average, they would have claimed, yeah, Biden will win Michigan by 7 points. But even then, you notice how Michigan is voting to the right, at least according to the polling back in 2020. It was supposed to vote to the right of Wisconsin by a couple points. Doesn't that sound familiar? Hell, even Pennsylvania, they were actually spot on, but yet again, it was because of Susquehanna, Trafalgar, insider advantage. If it wasn't for those three, you would have had Marist show Biden plus 5, CNBC, Biden plus 4. You scroll down here, you had ABC News, yet again, Biden plus 7, CNN, Biden plus 10. And you notice, by the way, the polling average in Pennsylvania was to the right of Michigan, and Michigan was to the right of Wisconsin. And it turned out that was complete bullshit. That's exactly what's happening here. Trump's best state, according to this poll, is Pennsylvania, then Michigan, then Wisconsin. The same thing that happened back in 2020. Am I saying this would be an 8-point miss? No. But the more you look at this poll and compare it to 2020, you realize immediately, wait a minute. It's as if this poll came from 2020 and they've released it now. But this poll is just absolute trash. How can you release this? How? Because if I did a poll in Wisconsin, and if I had a Trump plus 9 or Harris plus 9, I would say, no. We will not release this poll unless we go back into the field and get an even larger sample. I would do that. If I'm the pollster, I would want a larger sample because you're talking about a 9-point shift in Wisconsin. Yeah, no. That's very unlikely. We gotta make sure that's correct. But I don't think that's what they did here. And in fact, it looks like they did the bare minimum. It looks like they only polled like 500 people per state, which is incredibly small, especially for a swing state like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. wouldn't you want to have a larger sample per state to make sure you're reaching the voters that will actually decide the election? Because if you have a small sample size, and if we're dealing with response bias, which I still believe is the case, you are probably contacting Democrat-leaning voters way more than Republican voters. And that could explain why you're having Harris up by 9 in Wisconsin. But I don't think they even care. They probably wanted Harris plus 9. They were like, good. Harris plus 9 in Wisconsin, we're good. Release the poll. That's my problem here. That you cannot tell me with a straight face that this is fine, that this is completely normal, a 9-point shift in Wisconsin, but Michigan and Pennsylvania stay about the same. That's not going to happen. I guess theoretically it could, but with Harris on the ticket, do you really think of the 3 Rust Belt states, she would do the best in Wisconsin by that much? No. I highly doubt that. You would expect with Harris, she would do the worst in Wisconsin. Not 5 points better there compared to Michigan and Pennsylvania. It's a pile of crap. And the sad part is people are pushing it. They're saying, look at this poll. We have Harris up by 9 in Wisconsin. No problems here. Which, by the way, this same group, look at this. They have Texas's Senate race as a toss-up. Now, am I saying Cruz will win by 15 points? No. But to suggest that Texas's Senate race is a toss-up, and I believe this was back in like June or whatever, is crazy. And their explanation is crazy. They're claiming Ted Cruz cannot win if he only gets 46% of the vote. Yeah, no shit. If you get 46% of the vote in a two-way race, you can't win. That's your explanation? That, oh, he's getting 46% of the vote, therefore he will lose. What? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. This is Texas. This is not like, it's not a deep blue state where the undecideds are super Democrat. The undecideds in this survey were probably Republican-leaning voters. And they're going to break for Cruz. It's just crazy to think that this group posted this garbage and everyone is claiming there's nothing wrong here. This is proof that Harris is going to win in a landslide. It's over for Trump. What a load of crap. But you know what's very suspicious about all of this? Where are the major pollsters? I'm being dead serious. You notice how in the past couple of days, the polls dropping, they're coming from third-rate pollsters, like Bullfinch Group, like Redfield, and God knows who else. Even YouGov. That wasn't YouGov proper. It was YouGov Blue. Isn't that very suspicious? But I'm not the only one that's been looking at this and thinking to myself, something's going on here. Like, all the major pollsters, it seems like out of the blue the past week or so, they just stopped releasing polls. And I'm not the only one to notice this. The head pollster Rasmussen, and I know, people are going to say, oh God, Rasmussen, why are you bringing them up? Because they bring up a very good point. Look at this chart here. And for those that don't get what's trying to convey, basically it's the amount of polls being conducted per week that are, of course, on the RCP average. All right? Notice something very suspicious. Does anyone notice how there's been virtually no polls added to the RCP average? And we're not talking about, oh, they just don't add polls. No. There's been literally no polls conducted from a major pollster, or at least a pollster that RCP usually adds to the average. It's only been Bullfinch. It's always been garbage like that. Not the New York Times. They haven't done a poll in a while. A national poll. I'm not talking about statewide polling. A national poll. It seems like a bunch of these polls, they just stopped polling last week. Isn't that very suspicious? Again, I'm not saying that there's a grand conspiracy going on, but would you think that there be some kind of national polls released? Now, it could still happen later this week. I get it, because it is early, I guess. But you don't go from 8 polls released the week prior, or surveyed the week prior, to only 1. And at that point, if you're waiting like a week to release your numbers, you have a problem. you have a big problem. We gotta wait and see what happens, but if this trend continues where, out of the blue, you're not seeing any polls from like NBC News, CNN, whatever, you're seeing them from Bullfinch, you're seeing them out of like Maine, where they're claiming, yeah, Trump's gonna lose Maine second, or crap like that. I'm not saying that there's a grand conspiracy, but it makes you really wonder, where are the major pollsters at? Why are they not releasing numbers out of the blue? Could they release them later this week? Like I said, yeah, but at that point, why did you wait so long? Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.